Well, let's go ahead and get started since we're 4 minutes late. Okay, thank you all for showing up to SEO, to AEO, Optimize Your Website for Search in AI. My name is JannaCFiester. I'm the Vice President of UX and Creative at Sandstorm. To describe myself, I have gray curly hair, new glasses I got yesterday, and I'm wearing a shirt that says Sandstorm Hearts Drupal. Fun facts. Let me tell you a little bit about Sandstorm before we dive in. So we are an accessibility certified creative technology agency located here in Chicago. I would say we're closer to 30 years of business, and we primarily work with purpose-driven brands. Our clients, we don't save babies, but our clients do. We have deep expertise in healthcare, professional associations, global nonprofits, and higher ed. We also believe in continuing ed. We have a lot of certifications. We are CPAC certified. We are AWS Cloud, Pantheon, Acquia, Drupal, DEIB, and we're a woman-owned business. A lot of certifications. We have an interdisciplinary team of UX, UI, strategy. We have developers. We have analytics. We have all the people that work together, and we all love working together. And some of my colleagues are here. And we started our practice of UX in 2006 when it was just kind of getting started. We had a PhD in human factors that came in and created our business, or created our practice, and we have been evolving it since then. Okay, so we are here to talk about AEO. Let's talk about the facts, the challenges. So brands are experiencing up to a 60% decrease in web clicks, and that's due to consumers shifting how they do search. The other thing about that is that 80% of consumers now rely on AI-generated results for at least 40% of their searches. So what's happening is that they're looking at those AI results, getting the information they need, and then they don't come to your site. Shoot, how can we get them to come to our site? Well, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Because the good news is if you've been doing SEO and accessibility, all of those work for AI. So don't feel like you're behind. Everyone's like, I'm so behind. What's going on with AI? Well, you're not, as long as you're doing SEO and accessibility, because those all work together. On the left side is a graphic. It's a recycling graphic with SEO at the top, going into Ally and going into AI, and kind of creating that circular experience. And that's the way we believe that everything works together. And at Sandstorm, we also have the mindset that we need to build for humans and AI. So my UX team, one of our personas is always AI now. We want to build for that along with our other users. So let's go ahead and start really thinking about what AEO is. There's a lot of acronyms out there, AEO, GEO, all the things, but we're going to talk about AEO today and what we can do to be found in AEO. So first, we can make our content more relevant and visible so that AI can find it. We can build off of and move beyond traditional SEO. So whenever you think of SEO, it's keywords. Well, now it's phrases, it's questions. You need to write questions and think about those. Those questions can still include your keywords, but the way we use AI has made us actually transform how we search. We need to align our content with large language models, make sure that they can process this information. And then number 4, we need to focus on clear, straightforward, well-organized, and natural language that everyone, including AI, can understand. That's a lot to remember. So maybe making it more simple is AI reads websites like assistive technology. So again, if you're thinking about it from an accessibility point of view, you're already building for AI. So we're going to just go through a few basics of accessibility to ground everyone and remind us of all those things that we need to be thinking about. So first, you want to make sure you have a really good structure to your content. You want to use headings to create that structure. Does everybody remember those great outlines you used to do in high school for your research papers, the outlines? Come on, raise your hands, people. Thank you. It's exactly the same on the website. But the nice thing about it is with Drupal and other content management systems, that main heading of H1 is already defined by your navigation. Usually it's the page title, right? But as a content administrator, then you have a lot of opportunity to work on those H2s, H3s, and so on and so forth. So you want to make that structure make sense. On the left side is a demonstration of a heading structure with your H1 being the main heading, going into an H2 of subheading, going into an H3 of sub-subheading, and going back out to H2s, and so on and so forth. You want to keep that structure regular so that the AIs and your users, including assistive technology, can read your content. Next up is alt text. Alt text improves discoverability. So we need to include alt text with all of our images. So instead of reading describing what this image is on the side, I'm going to read it, the alt text. This is for UNICEF, one of our clients. So their alt text is a group of 8 smiling children from the Samburu tribe in Kenya, sitting on a tree trunk, wearing colorful clothing. And the reason I wanted to pull that out is because this is a twofer, and you're going to hear that a lot from me. It's my thing. I talk about twofers all the time. What that alt text does is it does describe the purpose of the image, but it reinforces their mission. So if you think about it from UNICEF perspective, they're going around the world, they're helping people, they want to encourage everyone to have a great life, and this image demonstrates it. So through that alt text, you're also understanding what the image is, but reinforcing their brand and their mission. Are you tracking with me? Okay, I've had a lot of coffee, so I can slow down a little bit. But who here has forgot to write out alt text, and you go back to the page and you're like, dang it, I forgot alt text. Come on, it's a safe place, everybody. It's safe. Well, luckily, there's a Drupal module for that. So this is one we've been using a lot with our projects lately. It is added to core with Drupal 11, and it is a module that helps you write that text. Alt text, you hook it up to an LLM, so there is a price with the whole API usage. But on the left side is a screenshot of adding social add or select media, and the first field up there is alt text, and it is required. So that helps you, again, confirm that you do the alt text before you actually push the page live. And of course, there's that nice big button in blue that says Generate with AI. You click that, it gives you an idea of what the alt text would be from its perspective, and then you can refine from there. But the fact that it's required, and from an accessibility point of view, makes me very, very happy, so then you don't forget. Okay. Descriptive links add context. So the image on the left is titled A User in the Den of Bad Links. It shows a very distraught human surrounded by these lions. And there's 3 lions that have voice thought bubbles. One of them saying, fill in this form by the end of the day, and the form is underlined for our text link. The next one is more information here, here, and here, with here, here, and here, our text links. And then check the security policy by this link. So what's nice about this is you don't know where the heck you're going if you're clicking on any of those. And if you can imagine when you're using assistive technology, it's just saying here, here, here with the link. So we need to make those more descriptive. On the screen, these are examples. We do work in healthcare, and this is what we show some of our healthcare clients of how to write descriptive content, descriptive links. So the top one that has a big red X next to it is showing what you should not do, where it's visit and then a very long URL, and I'm not going to read it this moment. Okay, I'll read it. www.hospital.org/patient-resources/billing-info for more information. Can you imagine that being said to you through the screen reader? Let alone as a user that's not familiar with URLs, you're going to be like, what the heck is that? Where am I going? My trust in this organization just went down. But you can change it with the second one that has a big green check next to it. Visit the billing and insurance information page for more information. In this instance, our link is billing and insurance information page. You know exactly where you're going to go. And you also, before you click, you know that it's going to serve the purpose you're looking for. I want more billing and insurance information. The next big red X is to learn more about preparing for hip surgery. Click here. The way to make that better is learn more about how to prepare for hip surgery, with your link being how to prepare for hip surgery. Very clear, but also that almost feels like it knows what I'm looking for. It has a little bit of a personalization quality about it. It knows I'm in a heightened state because either myself or a loved one has to have hip surgery, and now I know where to go to get that information. So my trust in that brand just went back up. Next one, information for new patients. Patients is our text link. Information for existing patients. Patients is our text link. Again, not really sure what's going to happen here. I know I'm going to something for patients, but why are there 2? So the way we can make that better is information for new patients is our text link with new patients, and information for existing patients existing patients is our text link. So very clear. Yes, sir.
Do you have a rule of thumb for how many words to use in the link? How much is too much?
We kind of, I don't say it, but in my mind it's usually between 3 and 5, and I want to start with an action at the beginning so that it makes it more easy for people to scan and reinforce what they're looking for, is usually what I recommend. What do you do? About the same or a little bit more?
I don't do it myself often, but I see the results of other people, and sometimes it just seems like way too much.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely looking at how to compress it and see if people are clicking on it, and you could always try different things too. Or in your next usability study, ask people. Okay, so those are just some grounding on what we would look at from an accessibility point of view. If you're already doing this, you're well on your journey, well on your way to being served up by AEO. So congratulations, you're not behind. It is a journey where the road is going, and tomorrow we don't know what exit we're getting off of because it's continually changing. Okay? Okay, let me keep an eye on the time. Oh, I'm going really fast. Okay. 5 actionable AEO steps. What you can do today. So we're going to give you 5 tips that you can take home with you today. Most of them are around content, a little bit around development, but things that you can share with your team to make sure that your website is starting to be recognized from an AEO perspective. Okay. First, write content-rich summaries for long-form content. By long-form content, I mean like blog articles, service pages, things that have just a lot of content on them. So on the screen, we want to make content easier for AI to use, so we want to add summaries. On the right side is a screenshot from the Cleveland Clinic for a page about heart disease. Below the H1 of heart disease, it says when it was recently updated, and then there is content that is surrounded with a red square to highlight it. This is the summary of the page so that users can read it and understand that this page is right for them. It's just 2 to 3 sentences. And in this case, it really tells you, so if you imagine, oh my goodness, my friend, my family members got heart disease. What is heart disease? You come to the page, and the first part is heart disease includes many diseases that affect your heart, but coronary artery disease, CAD, is the most common and familiar one. Heart disease can lead to heart attacks, heart failure, cardiac arrest, stroke, and organ damage. Healthy habits, medicines, and procedures can prevent or treat CAD other than heart disease. So right there, you know that this page can help you with where you are in your journey about learning about heart disease. So let's say you just got the diagnosis of CAD from your doctor, and you're like, what the heck is CAD? It reinforces it, it tells you what it is and how it can affect your body. So again, 2 to 3 sentences. We are also recommending this for all types of pages, including bio pages in higher ed. So if you imagine when you go to a higher ed bio page, it has the person's where they went to college, what year they graduated, what their research is, kind of in a bulleted list. Why not add some personality through this summary at the top? This person has been teaching for so many years, their research has been cited in many journals, and this is currently what they're working on. It's what the users want. They don't care really where the professor went to college. They want to know what they're doing today, what research, and will I be able to do that research with you? So that's an opportunity for you to make hear the needs of the user as well as hear the needs of what AI is looking for. Yes?
So I understand definitely how that's useful to a user. I'm not sure I understand how it's useful to an AI. AI is really great at generating those kind of summaries on its own.
Mm-hmm. Well, what it does when AI comes here, it starts reading, of course, the top of the page. And recent data is showing that it reads just the top part. It doesn't read the whole page.
Oh, okay.
So that's why that summary is very, very
I
important.
did think it was going to try to...
No, yeah, and it's not, it's data that's just recently come out. It's only like a couple of sources that have said it, so that's why I'm not definitive about it. But it is something I'm monitoring to see what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fascinating, thank you.
Yeah.
I think like training strategies for AI crawlers are a little different than like that real time Gemini is looking at 50 web pages at once.
Mhm.
And if you don't have a good summary at the top, it might give up and not process the rest of that page, because it wants to get an answer back to you
For
in a
sure.
half second.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a theory.
So it's almost like empathy for AI. That's a little weird.
You're making it do a little bit less work.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's why, you could use even AI to write the summary, but I would definitely look at it to help you out, but it is something that it uses. Oh, great questions, keeping me on my toes this morning. So continuing on, we want to make sure we have that clear, consistent structure of H1, H2s. Our H2 in this case that's highlighted in red is what is heart disease. There's also research that's coming out that your H2 being a question helps AI. Again, it's not definitive, it's just something we're seeing. So that reflects what the person is looking for, that question that they're asking, and even what AI is looking for, what is heart disease. So having an H2s reflect that is something that we're seeing actually helps AI understand your page and then start giving those summaries. Jump links, which is here underneath the summary, it's outlined in red. It contains jump links down the page of like what is heart disease, symptoms and causes, diagnosis and tests, management and treatment, and so on. Those will then jump you down the page. And the way we usually do it at Sandstorm is those are actually pre-populated by your H2s, so you don't need to think about it. So our dev team, which is fantastic, we will go through and set up this from a wireframe perspective that we want this as a functional requirement. It makes it easier, so you as a content admin don't need to go back and create these jump links. It's already pre-populated by your H2s. And then, of course, those in context-related content links, in this case, a link to coronary heart disease if you want to learn more. So making sure that you move this user, making sure it's not a dead end, you move them across the site as well, depending on where they are in their journey. So takeaway number 1, pick your 3 most visited pages and add a 2-sentence summary. So again, don't go back to your office or to your institution and say, hey, we need to redo all our pages. Just start with the top 3 and then move on to the next 3 and so on and so forth, because it's going to take some time. While you're doing that, go ahead and talk to your developers. So this is a takeaway number 1A, and consider adding schema markup to these pages for FAQs, articles, events, and bio pages. So schema helps AI understand the page because it's more readable, machine-readable content and context. There's certain formulas that work with different pieces of content. FAQs have a particular schema, while events has another schema. For events, it's like title, date, location, time, those common things, and that helps AI understand that content. And of course, there's Drupal modules that can help automate that, and if you want to talk about that, we can talk about it afterwards, and I'll pull in one of my developers to talk to you. Okay, number 2, FAQs turn questions into traffic. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this is a safe place, right? I hated FAQs. Like those really long pages that was just FAQ after FAQ that would be just abandoning people and they'd have to go through all this content. It was the worst, and I thought that, in my opinion, the UX and the content were not working well together. But I had to take the red pill because my wonderful Morpheus, he's like, yeah, FAQs are awesome, because you know what? They are now. No longer do we want to put them on that one page. We want to put it within context of the content. So FAQs at the bottom of highly visited pages help your users as well as AI. So the example on the right side of the screen is from HubSpot SEO Marketing. It's a related software page. We have 3 pieces of related content at the top, and then below that are FAQs. Our first one being, what is SEO software? The second one, what are popular SEO software features? And how much does HubSpot's SEO marketing software cost? What would be really cool is if we heard all those questions from UX research or from sales, when you're doing your sales and marketing or when you're pitching someone. Those are probably the questions that they're asking. So having it on this page, I'm reading, I'm looking at these resources, then I see that, I'm like, oh wow, I feel seen as a user. I feel like they know me. That's really cool. Another example that does it, and in this instance it is from higher ed. This is from the University of Wisconsin. It's their Visiting International Student Program. There's a screenshot of the page on the right. Visiting International Student Program is called VISP as well. This is a page where people can go and learn about the program, and there are more FAQs at the bottom. So in this instance, how do I apply? What courses should I take? My major is in a current VISP the program. What should I do? I guarantee those are all questions that they are hearing from those students that are considering this program. And if I come here and I see those as a user, again, I feel seen. If you imagine the funnel, I'm moving right down that funnel to conversion. Also, it helps because of question and answer really helps from an AI perspective as too. So imagine someone's typing into AI, how do I apply to the VISP track program? Guess what page is going to come up? You tracking with me? Okay. So another two for tip, build your content authority by expanding those FAQs. Again, I took this red pill. I'm loving it. I'm embracing it. So make long form blog post outline built from those FAQs. So just don't leave them on those pages. You actually start building content around it. So the example on the right is our blog title is Everything You Need to Know About Drupal Websites. FAQ, what is Drupal? I hear that all the time from my family. What is Drupal? What is this mid-camp thing? Are you guys weird geeks? I'm like, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
It's okay. How does Drupal work? What makes Drupal better than other content management systems? What is the process for building a Drupal website? Is Drupal open source? So these, again, are just some FAQ ideas that can actually create a great blog post. So again, when someone's typing that into AI, guess what page is going to come up? That blog post, and it'll start moving you through the site. Okay. So your takeaway number 2 is add 3 to 5 FAQs to highly visited pages and then turn those into blog posts. Number 3, refresh popular and outdated content. We need to make sure the content that AI is reading and your users are reading is current. We used to tell our clients to not get rid of past press releases and articles because that's really good for SEO juice, right? Until someone does a query and a press release from 10 years ago comes up for a client of ours and it's a president that no longer is there anymore. So that user thinks that that president is still the CEO, this person is the CEO in charge. So it's wrong content, but it's on our site. So we need to cull that content and update it. We need to make it very accurate and make sure that if someone found it, it would be indeed true about your organization. So content type, your core services and product pages, we recommend updating those, checking those out every 3 to 6 months. Your blog posts, checking those every 6 to 12 months, making sure that they're updated. You can always refresh those blog posts too with new links or insights. Industry-driven content, this needs to be reviewed immediately as soon as information or reports and research becomes available. You don't want your site to be conveying the wrong information from an industry standard. Landing pages, in this case I'm talking about marketing landing pages. Review those every 6 to 12 months to make sure those CTAs are accurate and they're reflecting your marketing goals. And then underperforming pages, we would say update those immediately and see if you can make any enhancements in those, make them actually do better. If they don't over like 3 to 6 months, then maybe it's time to actually say, hey, this content isn't relevant anymore. So create a process, and this is just an example of one. It might be aggressive if your team's smaller, but it is one that can start working towards to make sure that the content that is available is accurate. When you update that content, you want to include 2 fields, last updated and reviewed by. Last reviewed or last updated could be the month and the year. Reviewed by would be the name, title, and a link to that bio page, because then you're elevating that writer. Your expertise is coming forward, which AI likes. And you're also like making that person feel really good about their content being on the site. Okay, takeaway number 3, define a schedule to review and then update content, and start again with those top performing pages. Okay. Number 4, train AI about your organization via prompt testing. This is the one that can make you go down a big dark hole pretty quickly. I kind of like it. I think it's fun. So what you want to do is prompt test your organization so you can understand whether AI is describing you accurately and or your competitors are actually coming up before you. You don't want that. So it's simple. The way you do it is you choose your AI of choice, and you put in the first question, who is company name and what do they do? So in this instance, we would put in who is Sandstorm and what do they do. I would also do, for our business in particular, I would do who is Sandstorm Design, because that's what our URL is and it's what people have known us for in the past, just to see what's going on from a brand perspective. So do you want to know what happened? Okay, let's look.
Soon.
Okay, so we compared ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. This was a few months ago. We need to redo it again. On the left side are descriptions from Perplexity and Gemini. They were pretty accurate, not too bad. And then ChatGPT came in. Bless them. We have 3 images at the top. The big one on the left side shows a beautiful office space with people engaged in conversation. The one in the top right shows a really fun group of people that are fantastic, that are at a Cubs game all together, enjoying life. And the one below it is some style tiles creative thing. Colors, fonts, some weird steps.
Are we getting a new office and we didn't know that?
Exactly. So this is a problem. Sandstorm doesn't have an office anymore. We're remote. And when we had an office, it was not that. No way. And then that design over there, as the vice president of UX and creative, that makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. So if someone sees this and they think that's where we work and that's our design, guess what? I just lost a client. Or if they really like it, then maybe they're not someone I really want to work with because they have bad taste. But I digress. So what we need to do in this instance is find where those images are. Is it in a blog post? Is it somewhere else? There is a company in Oregon called Sandstrom. Is that their office? And somehow someone labeled it wrong? I don't know. But we've got to stop this because that just hurts my heart. So that's what I mean. The information is wrong. And that connotation can be wrong for your potential clients. Okay. So once you do that, we always want to dive a little deeper. So we'll look at those services. What products or services does Sandstorm offer? Solutions, what company is best for, let's say, Drupal development in healthcare? Those are the verticals we serve, and we do Drupal development. So why not ask who comes up? And then the third one, this is where that hole happens. How does, in this case, Sandstorm compare to competitor X? And I will not list competitors because that gives them bad mojo, or gives us bad mojo than good mojo. But this is the one I always love to go in because we're always looking at different competitors because we do work in different verticals. What's happening? It's pretty cool. So you might want to put a timer on when you do this so you don't stay up all night. Okay. Again, I would use different. I would not just use one AI. I would use consistent ones, so that you are not having that anomaly of different AIs that you're using. And then I would also add this to your content update regularly. I would prompt test at the beginning, maybe every 3 months, and then when it gets better, come back every 6 months and just check it out. It's not one and done. So you want to make sure you control that content that is being shared about you. Okay, takeaway number 4. Note those gaps from AI and then give it more context by updating content to fill them in. You want to have control of your content and how it's being presented. Our final one is write for clarity and simplicity, number 5. So users who can't understand your content, well, AI won't either. So we need to make sure first to define key terms in simple words, kind of like what we saw on the Cleveland Clinic when it said CAD, cardiac heart disease, making sure that that was clear. Replace vague marketing language with real language. This is something you really got to think about because this can impact your brand from an authenticity point of view. And if people feel like they're being marketing to, they will not want to work with you. Avoid ambiguity and be specific. And number 4, aim for an 8th grade reading level. Now this is very controversial in the world of accessibility because accessibility it includes everything we do in a website, but it's also about how people have access to different things. In this instance, since we're saying 8th grade, we assume that they had a good educational system where they actually can read at the 8th grade level. So that's not what I'm trying to say, but I do need to have a measurement to make sure my content is more approachable. So please don't blast me for the 8th grade level, because it's just kind of what we're trying to do from an accessibility point of view. If you're going into healthcare, CDC actually says 6th to 8th grade level. And the way you can do that is, of course, is use AI, or there's different websites like this one from WebFX. It's a screenshot of their website. You can update, you can add a URL, you can enter text, you can upload a file, and it'll tell you what your reading level is. Usually if you have words in the content that are 4 syllables or more, it's going to be higher in high school level. So that's another way you can do it, is watching the number of syllables in your word, in your content. Okay? The other thing you can do to make sure it's simple enough is ask AI. Put the content in and say, Eli 5, explain like I'm 5. And that'll be a way for you to check the content to make sure that it's approachable and easy to understand. Okay, so takeaway 5, write for clarity to improve accessibility, increase trust, understanding, and visibility. So our 5 takeaways for today, as a recap, number 1, add a 2-sentence summary to those 3 most visited pages. Number 2, add FAQ sections to those highly visited pages and repurpose those for blog posts. Maybe start looking at how you want to incorporate schema into your site. 3, define a schedule to review content. 4, prompt test your company and organization in common AI tools. And then again, write for clarity to improve accessibility, understanding, and visibility. Final words of wisdom. So neither your SEO, accessibility, or your AEO efforts are one and done. Again, this is a journey and everything is in flux. Example, about 4 months ago, we were all about LLMS.txt files. We were talking about them constantly. And then Drace came out with a blog post where he tested it. And he's like, nope, doesn't do anything. Well, that saved me some time, saved us some time. But let's not ignore it, because maybe it'll be good in like 3 or 4 months. So please don't think that you shouldn't do it. Just keep an eye on it and see what happens. Our UX words of wisdom, designed for accessibility and all users, including AI. When you design for those, you'll design better website experiences for everyone. Okay, I actually ended early on time. So let's have some questions. More questions, please. Yes?
Related to the LLMs.txt thing, does I've seen cases where people recommend essentially like serving your entire site as markdowns that fall into the same category, in your opinion, as not helpful?
From what we're seeing, yes, it falls in the same thing. So, as long as your site is structured properly with everything structured, that's kind of redundant and may not be necessary. But that's where the schema, I think, would be more of a better thing to look at to make sure that the machines can understand the context around your content. Yes?
With your prompt testing, earlier at the end of the talk you mentioned how you were adding AI as
A persona.
To your personas, are you adding potential prompts now to your various personas?
Yeah, we are doing that in all of our user research right now. We have a selection of questions we're using about AI to test how people are engaging with it. It's kind of self-serving, it's helping our clients, but it's also helping our own personal research. Because everyone, as you all probably know, they're all like, AI, add a chat, and you're like, everyone has a lot of chat baggage. They're not going to use it. You need to see if your users want it. So that's where it is becoming more of a formula. But also, I always want to check with my users, are they comfortable with it? For example, we work with a public policy school at University of Chicago and asked them if they wanted to have chat on their website. Client was gung-ho, already had pulled the trigger, was paying for chat. The users said, I would never go to a school that had chat on the website. It's a problem. Big problem. So yes, we look at it, we talk about those prompts, even like how they would be asking questions to help us back into that and be thoughtful in that manner. Yeah, go ahead.
Here, following on that, I had this question that you kind of answered the opposite of it earlier, but like, what if you're like one of your key personas for the website or content that you have is like highly educated,
Mhm.
much more so than the 8th grade reading level.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to choose? What's your strategy?
That is such a hard thing, right?
Yeah.
Because we do, with our professional associations, we work with a lot of people that are very smart. Again, they're curing cancer. You have to look at the goals of the site itself. So in this instance, their site is very highly educated for those researchers because they have the clout. And you can't change research and make it more simple because people are looking at research for their own research. But what they do have is a client, or a patient website. The patient website, or the patient experience, is more simple.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so definitely talking to people, understanding what their goals are, but we don't want to make them change their content to make it more accessible if it actually impacts the findings and the research. And in this case, they're curing cancer. Yeah, go ahead.
So, one of your recommendations was to have properly structured headings,
Mhm.
H1s, H2, H3, and you even suggested making the H2s questions.
Mm-hmm.
Another of your suggestions was to write an outline of the blog post by stringing together some FAQs.
Yep,
So don't those both come down to the same thing?
they sure do. They sure do. It's just a different way of looking at it, for sure. But yeah, it does, it kind of gives you that idea that H2s would be your subheads in the blog, those would be your FAQs, so they would be questions. So it's a nice twofer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yep. Anything else? Okay. Well, I'll be around for a few more minutes after this. I have to get back actually to my home office. It's not the office we saw on the screen. But if you want to, you can always reach out to me. You can email me or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to continue the conversation. You can also provide your feedback. Oh, that wasn't updated.
Oh, gosh. It's on there, I promise.
Oh, now it's gone. What is it, Ann? Do you remember?
mid.camp/46.
4-6. Okay. And now it's stopped. Okay. And there are other sessions happening later today that should be coming up next, but they are not. So, yeah. That's all I got, people. So have a great day. Thank you for listening to me, and please reach out with any questions.